I got myself some hot cocoa because for some reason I feel very like cozy all of a sudden. Is anybody else drinking some exciting beverages of any sort? As I you know what it is? I think maybe I'm just feeling a little cold and I just suddenly just needed to like cozy up to something. But yeah, I feel like for this next game, I want to approach the vibe in a more cozy way. Yeah, I just want to be cozy about it because this game I think is going to mean a lot to me. I am going to do something that I didn't do before. Dreaded GM rated us, that writer woman rated us, and Gulf Ghoulie rated us. And I did a shout out for that writer woman, and I did a shout out for Gulf Ghoulie, but I was I was overwhelmed by all of the emotes that were scrolling through because Dreaded GM has a very unique way of rating, and so I forgot to do the shout out. So I'm doing the shout out now. They have given us a kind of a shout out within their Discord as well. So I appreciate the support. I appreciate the just the community that Dreaded GM has cultivated. They have done a number of fundraisers, and I think probably the first stream that I ever found with them was a fundraiser stream. And the next game that we're going to be playing has nothing to do with Dreaded GM, but for some reason I can't help but think of that community, because the name of this game is called By Way of Starlight. Starlight is the name of the foundation that typically the Dreaded GM community supports, and I'm going to be playing through this game, but I have a feeling that this is not the only time I'm going to be playing By Way of Starlight, because I feel like I probably will do it again when the Starlight campaign comes around for fundraising. But I feel like it's appropriate to do it today. It feels like a cozy, at least in the way that I'm reading it, I envision it to be kind of a cozy little game. And I'm feeling like I'm in a cozy mood, so let's do that. But I'm gonna still just kind of sit and enjoy my hot chocolate for a while. Just enjoy it while it's hot, I guess. I maybe put a little too much sugar in that. It's good though. All right. And also, by the way, I'm going to shout out the raiders, the raiding communities that came in. I'm going to shout them out in my Discord as well. But if you've been here for any part of this and you're interested, here, you know what? While people are lurking, if you're interested in the Discord, please come hang out. It's a good way to find out if there are, you know, things that I'm going to be streaming or changes to my stream schedule and that sort of thing. But also, if you've been here today, I'm going to put sort of a transcript of all of the games that we've played into some part of my Discord. I don't know if I have like a library yet, but if there's written stories, I'm going to put them there. I'll put them somewhere where they will be findable. And everybody that participated in this will be able to kind of look back and find the stories that we played. Because they are somewhat more journal-y type stories, they do lend themselves very well to a written format, and so I'm going to have like a full document of this. So check that out, because you'll be able to find it in the Discord. Now, we're going to be visiting a darker part of the timeline, kind of. It's dark for certain people groups. There are different ages that exist in my world. There's obviously like the prehistoric age, before anybody was able to write things down. That is the age when there were proto-elves, proto-orcs, proto-humans, the kind of the ancestors of the species that exist now in the more written word part of my world. And I just need to reference something real quick, just to make sure that I am remembering my world history correctly. Where is my timeline? Here it is. In the first stage of my world, we have things like the invention of writing, the development of language and culture, the cataloging of oral histories and traditions onto paper and or parchment or vellum or whatever it is that you write with in your part of this world. Books and things are written down and recorded, not necessarily onto paper, onto anything that is used for writing. There was the establishment of trade routes, just many years of developing cultures and languages and literature. This is the time when the myths and legends of my world came to be myths and legends. A myth is something that is not typically based in truth. A legend might have been based on something that, a person that genuinely existed, but maybe was exaggerated over time and oral storytelling. And this is the time when those things came to be. As time passed and generations continued to tell the stories, those myths and legends became bedtime fairy tales and old like legends and tales that are told to inspire heroic leadership and that sort of thing. In the Second Age, we have the establishment of the Great Library. I spelled it wrong earlier, but I got the sound correct. It is the Great Library in the Faron city of Canberra, and there is kind of like two parts to this age. The first half of the Second Age is kind of the development and the great, do we want to say Enlightenment period? It's sort of a kind of Enlightenment period when all of the knowledge of the world was cataloged and kept and preserved in this great library. But at some point during the Second Age, something began to destroy the knowledge of the world. There was an entity that we have not fully discovered yet. Some of my friends have uncovered parts of this world, but I don't want to say too much because it has not been fully revealed yet what has happened. But there is something that is attacking the knowledge, attacking the libraries, taking knowledge, consuming it, making it so that it never existed, actively trying to make the world dumber by consuming the kind of enlightenment that exists in this world. And there's been a big attack on the libraries, which sent the world into kind of a dark ages. Over time, the evil was overcome, which brought about sort of a golden age for the elves, specifically the wood elves. I'm just checking my notes, make sure I'm doing this correctly. Towards the end of the Second Age, the elves could see that their world was beginning to decline, their power in the world. And not just because of, natural, not just because various nations will just naturally rise and fall, but because there is a sickness in the world of Cinder, but also more specifically focused on the elf and human kingdoms. Their united kingdom between the elves and the humans has begun to decline, signaling to them that it might be possible that the Second Age is beginning to come to a close. At the end of the Second Age, it became clear that not only were the elves and humans in danger, but the sickness that was spreading through that kingdom, or those dual united kingdoms, it was threatening to spread into the rest of the world. And so the gods took some drastic action. Actions that maybe forced their hand just a little bit too much. And the world itself, Cinder itself, rejected the gods. Not the people, the actual physical globe of the world. The magic could not handle what the gods were doing to try and protect it. And Cinder ejected the gods. Eight of them found themselves floating in a magic sea, overlooking Cinder, but unable to re-enter the world. All of the magic of the gods left Cinder, and Cinder was left with just their mental ingenuity, anything that they could invent without the use of magical means. That was all they had left to them. And so, although there was kind of a sort of educational dark ages during the Second Age, the Third Age was an ushering in of magical dark ages. A time when almost nobody knows anything about magic, because it essentially does not exist. This is a time in the lifespan of the world of Cinder that feels very dark to the people living there, especially the ones that are old enough to remember what it was like to have magic in the world. And so, although there are stars in the world, they're not stars the way that you and I know them to be stars. There's not a glowing ball of gas in the way that we have stars. The stars in Cinder are portals to other planes of existence, and they rotate in the same way that visually you and I might look up at a sky and see our stars rotating. The stars in Cinder rotate in the same way, but it is because of the movement of those portals rather than because of the movement of any sort of heavenly body. However, there are 8 heavenly bodies that are physical, tangible. If we could just get to them, we could see that those stars are the remaining 8 gods that are just trying to get back to Cinder, and they can't. One small wish per day is the only thing that these gods are able to grant as influence in the world of Cinder. If there's anybody here in the chat who is still playing and is still interested, please let me know. You're going to be playing a star, which otherwise known as, you're going to be playing one of the gods of my world. If you don't say anything in the chat, I'm just going to create a character on my own, and I will play through this with whoever wants to lurk and not say anything. That's fine too. How many? Let's see. I need a D6. Let's get a D6 out. Oh, let me put the notification. Not the notification. Let me put Where's my Google Doc? Okay, Google Doc over here. All right. This is called By Way of Starlight. Come on. This game is laid out in 4 phases of the night. We begin at sunset, we move to dusk, we move to night, and then we move to dawn. And because of that, because there's a little bit of a timeline to this game, I felt like it would make sense to share a little bit about the timeline of Cinder. So that is all that we know so far about how the world works. And we're going to be playing a star. So let's find out what type of a star we are. Ooh, ooh. Interesting. We rolled a 6. We rolled a 3. And we rolled a 3. So, the sun is setting on the part of Cinder you typically oversee. As the light fades and house lights begin to twinkle on, you do your best to twinkle as well. Your light is shimmering, but perhaps not quite as well as it did when you first arrived here in Astros. You are older now. Time works differently in Astros, and you're not entirely certain how much time has passed or how long you have been here. But you definitely feel older than you should be. You don't know if time has sped up for you. Despite being a god, there is a kind of death that gods can experience. And you think that perhaps you have successfully fooded. Welcome back, Keyboard Smashed. Glad to have you here. We are playing a star, And the interesting thing about stars in my world is that Cinder doesn't have stars, not in the same sense as like the ball of gases that we think of. Cinder's stars are portals to other planes of existence, with 8 exceptions. There are 8 stars that are formerly the gods of Cinder. We have fast forwarded a little bit in the timeline to a point when Cinder rejected the gods, rejected all of the magic. Not the people of Cinder, the planet itself rejected what the gods were doing and ejected them into a place called Astros, which is a sea of liquid magic that is surrounding the world. So, the way that this game is set up is that there are different timelines. So right now our timeline is sunset, which is when we just discover what type of a star we are. For the sake of ease and not trying to figure too much about like how orbits work, I'm just going to say, oh, we're on an ad break. Keyboard Smash, thank you for the subscription. I feel like I'm happy to pause for ads, but I get that people just hate ads in general. But I do appreciate the reminder to break. Goodbye ads, yes. I do appreciate that reminder to myself to take a break because I do need the stretches and stuff. So I am happy to stop for ads so that people don't miss content. But I know that there are some people who just absolutely can't stand ads regardless. So where was I? The way that this game is laid out is we have sunset, we have dusk, we have night, and we have dawn. And so because of the timeline aspect of this, I thought it was appropriate to start with a little timeline of my world. So we talked a little bit before you got here about the kind of the history of Cinder, and how the stars were, how the 8 like physical bodies of the stars came to be. And so you are playing one of the 8. If there's a particular god that you feel drawn to, I'll say we could be that god. However, let me pull up my thing, my chart. Pantheon is the word I'm looking for. Because there might be one god that might fit better than others. I honestly don't know who's the oldest, but I think Brienne might have been through the most. Brienne is gender neutral, and they tend towards an evil alignment. However, in a lot of ways, it's not their fault. They are a god of contradictions, introspection, memory, uncertainty, blindness, futility, peace, and darkness, and war and death. There's a lot going on for Brienne. But because of the contradictions, they are the god of both of war and of peace. I think that one might be the one that fits most with the things that we rolled. If you would like to play as that god, we can. But being ejected from the world has changed them. and they may not necessarily still be evil aligned. So you could play them however you would like. The things that we rolled, your light is twinkling and shimmering. It kind of reminds you of the houses that you're looking down upon. You are older, much older than you remember that you should be. You've been through a lot. Or we'll say you must have been through a lot. Maybe you don't necessarily remember your time as a god in Cinder. You wonder if, as a star, you might have reached the end of your lifespan. But you remember that as a god, you do not die. And especially, suspended as you are in the waters of Astros, the healing magic will prevent you from dying. No god has ever been in the situation that you are in currently. There is a place for the gods to go to rest. So there is something similar to reincarnation. You don't die, but you do sort of allow yourself to renew by taking a time of rest. But being in Astros as you are, your body cannot do that. You are prevented from what the mortals might call death. But you will be prevented from reaching that reincarnating rest that every god ultimately seeks to do many, many times. So you don't know exactly what you are. What you rolled on this chart is a dying star, but in my world, that's not exactly possible. So we'll do the best we can. You maybe feel like you are dying. You are part of a constellation of Cinder. When the mortals of Cinder look upon you, they see that you are part of a constellation. You are the third eye in the constellation of the Sage. It is not a coincidence that you happen to find yourself there. This was by your design. The sage has always existed. You have always known of the sage from your time living in Cinder. When you found yourself in Astros, you sought to place yourself into the constellation of the sage, and you thought to place yourself as the third eye. The mortals now have tales that they tell about the awakening of the sage, the day that the extra eye appeared in the constellation. As the sunset turns toward dusk, we begin to feel the thoughts and prayers of the mortals below us. We begin to feel and understand the wishes that are coming your way. As people step outside their doors and look up in the sky, and they wish upon a star. In particular, they wish upon the third eye of the sage. Perhaps they're looking for wisdom. Perhaps they're looking for clarity. Perhaps they just want help from anybody that will help. We will roll 3d6 to find out a little bit more about these wishes. We have a 6, we have a 5, and we have another 6. How many wishes are we going to do? Let's see. All right, so we need to have 6 wishes. So we're going to do this a bunch of times. So wish number 1. This wish feels impractical or impossible. The wish is about a possibility or opportunity. This wish will require a sacrifice. So, what is this wish going to be? What would be something that's impractical? Interesting. I'm back. Hello. Welcome in. Yes. 8 hours. I've switched into the cozy hot cocoa part of the night. But we've also played several different games. And so we're into a game that's a little bit more, I don't know, cozy, I guess. That's the best part of any night. Yeah. So we're playing a game called By Way of Starlight, and it's interesting because my world doesn't have stars. Not stars in the sense that we think of them. There are stars in the sense of like things that twinkle in the night sky, but they're not glowing balls of gas. They are portals to other worlds. The exception is there are 8 former gods that have been ejected from Cinder that now exist in a sea of magic that surrounds the world. And so they have found themselves unable to return to Cinder, and so they're still connected to the world, and so they exist now as stars. The star that we kind of, I sort of rolled a dice to see what type of star we are, and the best fit I think was Brienne. I don't know if Brienne remembers their name. I don't know if the gods are in some kind of state of suspension. Haven't really fleshed that part of the world out. But I think Brienne is the one that fits the best in terms of kind of the personality that we rolled. So we are now in the process of figuring out, it's a little bit of a writing exercise. So we're in the process of figuring out 6 wishes that come in the direction of this star. And we've got prompts based on what we roll. So what we rolled was that the wish feels impractical or impossible. The wish is about a possibility or an opportunity, and the wish will require a sacrifice. So now I'm trying to figure out, what wish do I want to write? Something that's impractical or impossible, I think, is probably like a job opportunity or something that's so out of their realm of what they've studied for. Like a long shot type of a job. Or maybe a job opportunity that would bring their child closer to them. What kind of a sacrifice would that require, though? I'm thinking probably just like a pay cut type of a situation. Is that not enough of a sacrifice, are we thinking? All right. All right, let's roll for wish number 2. 4, 3, and 2. This wish feels wistful or nostalgic. This wish is unfair to others. Wish 3. Oh, almost lost the dice. We have a 2. We have a 4. We have a 5. I can spell. cocoa is cold. I think I'm okay with that, though. Alright, wish 3. I wish my cocoa wasn't cold. Desiring or yearning, it's about uncertainty or anxiety, and the wish would only be temporary. Cold cocoa is still yum. Yes, I am desiring warm cocoa. I might make myself more cocoa after the stream. I don't know. We'll see. This wish feels desiring or yearning. It's about an uncertainty or an anxiety. I think maybe it's temporary because it's just about a circumstance. I wish I didn't have to go through this. I wish I didn't have to go through making more cocoa. I wish for it to be delivered. Is that a thing? Can you like DoorDash a hot cocoa? I know there's a delivery service in my town for cookies. You can just get cookies delivered. It should be, yeah. I wish I had cocoa now. It's so easy if you can with coffee. Yeah, you probably can. I've definitely had bubble tea delivered, but that was sort of like with an order of food. I don't know if you can do it just on its own. You're saying that like I'd order it without a croissant. Very true. I shouldn't have overstepped that boundary. If there's a hot drink, there's gonna be a pastry. Yeah, I agree. What kind of a university do we want to put into the world of Cinder? There are several, I just haven't named them. So if anybody would like to name a university, go for it. We do have ads, but I know that the 2 people who are active in the chat right now have subscribed. So I'm just going to keep talking, but this is a reminder to stretch. Keep your body in good condition. Give yourself that physical break if you need to. If you've been sitting in one position for too long. The University of the Universe. Going to uni at uni. Can we call it the Universal Academy? The Universal... I want something that sounds very like posh. I'm guess universities are usually named after people or places. Yeah, I guess they are, now that I think about it. Is there another word for, like, university besides, like, academy? Symposium? Program. Academy of the Cosmos. Symposium. Symposium sounds very, like, full of itself, which I like. I think that works. How about the Universal Symposium? Conservatory, yeah. How about Conservatory of the Universe? Institute. Ooh. Conservatory. We're spending a lot of time on, like, could they have an observatory? Yes. Let's do the Institute of the Universe. Jeff, welcome back. Glad to see you here. We've just created a college, or a university. The Institute of the Universe. Or did we want to do the Institute of the Cosmos? The Institute of the Cosmos, we'll do that. What would make a good acronym? Ooh. IOC or IOU? IOU could get a lot of puns. Cosmos. Let's go Cosmos. All right. If anybody would like to roll 3 more d6s, I don't mind rolling them, but since there are people here active, you're welcome to roll if you have dice nearby. I owe you my coursework because I forgot to do it again. All right, let's move on to wish number 4. Jeff gave us a 2. That writer woman gave us a 13. A 13 on a d6 is impressive. Let's see. Where are we? This wish feels. I thought it was a d20. That's okay. Where is it? This wish feels desiring or yearning. I just like to overachieve. Okay, 3. The wish is about a life event or turning point. 1 more d6. I will roll it if somebody doesn't. 5, rolling digitally. Okay, we've got a 5. All right, we got 5. The wish would only be temporary. We are repeating some of these, but the fact that they are sort of mix and matched will give us a different type of, it'll give us a different type of wish. Let's see, we've lost our music. Do I need to mute for ads? I do not. All right. So this wish feels desiring or yearning. It's very similar to the last wish because it's also temporary, but instead of being about uncertainty or anxiety, it's about a life event or a turning point, which is going to give us a different flavor to our wish. A yearning for a life event or a turning point. Big life event that's coming to mind is like a marriage, but a marriage typically is not intended to be temporary, so that could have interesting effects. I wish I could have. Okay. Well, maybe I wish. Well, that's similar to wish number 2. Is that I wish I hadn't left my fiance standing at the altar. I wish that I knew true love for a little while. I like that. Rest in peace, fiance. Yeah. I wish that I knew true love for a little while. That's a story I want to know more about. Cause yeah, they're not wishing for like a long-lasting thing. They're just wishing for like a fleeting moment of true love. Okay. Wish number 4. 3 more d6s if anybody wants to. I'll probably roll one as well. Wish 5. This wish feels sorrowful or regretful. We've got an uncertainty. All right, this wish is about an uncertainty. How many uncertainties have we done? Are there a lot? Do we want to re-roll that one? No, I think we've only had one, so that's okay. We'll keep it. This wish is about uncertainty or anxiety. And let's see. Keyboard smashed. Let's see. Keyboard smashed has number 4 is just the beginning. Jeff's nat 1 is that the wish is meant to stay secret. So which one of those do we want to stick with? Do we want it to be just the beginning, or do we want it to be a secret? I've got cocoa chunks at the bottom. I did not stir it well enough. All right. This wish feels sorrowful or regretful. This wish is about uncertainty or anxiety. Those are good, like a little treat at the end, yeah. And is meant to stay, and this wish is meant to stay secret. All right. What are we wishing about? Sorrowful or regretful? It's a secret. And it's some kind of an uncertainty or anxiety. I'm thinking, I wish I had never done something. Although it's supposed to be, the wish is supposed to be secret, not necessarily their action. I wish I did not kill my fiance. When I said that they wished they hadn't left their fiance standing at the altar, I meant from a marriage perspective, not that I sacrificed them on an altar. Although it could sometimes be the same thing. Alright, so the wish is a secret, not necessarily the action. Maybe it was both, yeah. A satanic altar, I was there. Yeah, I left them standing at the altar to Cthulhu. We were gonna get married, but I decided to just sacrifice them instead. Alright. This wish feels sorrowful or regretful. I wish... It's about an uncertainty or an anxiety. So I wish... Maybe they're embarrassed about something they did, and the wish is secret because they don't want anyone else to know what they did. Yeah, I'm thinking it's about, like... Yeah, an embarrassment or... like a feeling that they have. Maybe... maybe they have some... Is this going to be... I'll deviate if this is going to be triggering for anybody. But if they have some intrusive thoughts about maybe a person or a group of people, and so they might be embarrassed about those thoughts, and they wish that they didn't have them, and they want, not only is the wish secret, but their thoughts, they're wishing, they're hoping nobody finds out about what they're struggling with. I know that can sometimes be too real for people. So if that feels a little bit too much, we can go back and fix it. But I'll put that down for now. What did I just say? I wish I did not think those thoughts about my best friend. And hope they never find out. All right. Let's go with wish number 6. We got 3 more D6s. we'll take, since we seem to be repeating some of these, and there's like 3 people who are kind of interacting. We're making this character suffer. So this is 6 different people. These are the wishes that our star is hearing. So we'll do the best of 4, just because we keep repeating some. So we'll just take them in that order. So that writer woman got 1. This wish feels desperate or frightened. It's the same person listening, so in that sense, like, we have to hear all of these wishes. So we're probably potentially experiencing kind of the sorrow of all these, or the struggles of all these people. This wish feels desperate or frightened. Jeff got a 6. The wish is about the world. This is gonna be interesting. This wish is about the world. And then Keyboard Smash got a 1. And I got a 3, so we can choose. This wish is meant to stay secret or expresses a regret. Which one do we want to keep? I think, because we haven't used it yet, the regret one we haven't used yet, so let's do that one. And the wish expresses a regret. Did I spell something wrong? What is happening? Why are you flagging that? It's fine, ignore it. I wish there was more time to fix the world. We have ruined so much already. So I'll fill you in about the world a little bit, because the reason I said, ooh, this is interesting, because this world, there was a period of, I'll give you a quick rundown of the timeline of the world. The very beginning, we have prehistory. That's kind of the case for a lot of different worlds, but we have the prehistory, before the invention of language and writing and all of that. And then we move into the development of language and culture. So that is the first age, when things start to be written down, things start to be recorded, buildings begin to be built. And then we have a transition into the second age, which is the beginning of the second age is the kind of a time of enlightenment, the collection of knowledge into libraries. There is a slight dip in that enlightenment, because at some point in that period, there is an attack on the knowledge. There are like evil entities that begin taking knowledge from the libraries and destroying them. And the greatest blow that was experienced was the Great Library of Canberra in the Elven Kingdom, where a lot of knowledge was lost. And it sent them into a little bit of a dark age in terms of knowledge. But they came through it. They came out of it. They made educational advances. They made scientific advances. They made magical advances. And towards the end of the second age, you see kind of the golden age of the elves and the humans is starting to decline. And the kingdoms of the elves and the kingdoms of the humans are afflicted with something called the stone sickness. It creates a lot of wars and turmoil in the world. And it threatens the greater world beyond those kingdoms. And so because of that threat of the stone sickness and the possibility that the stone sickness might spread to the rest of the world, the gods stepped in, and they took very drastic, very direct action to try and remedy this problem. And when they did, that is when Cinder, the world, not the people of the world, but Cinder itself, the planet, rejected the actions of the gods, rejected all of the magic of the gods, and ejected the gods into Astros, which is where our star is located right now. So the people are left with the knowledge that they had. They're left with the knowledge that magic once existed. But that magic is gone now. And so for somebody who maybe relied heavily on magic, a sorcerer or a wizard of some sort, being suddenly without your magic could be a very desperate and frightening feeling. And it seems very natural for this particular wish. If someone is very scared about the state of the world and the fact that there is no magic, it seems like they might be wishing for the magic to come back into the world in some way, or wishing for understanding to see why this might have happened, because so far nobody has really figured out the mechanism behind why did Cinder reject the gods, why did this happen. They just kind of are aware that the magic has disappeared, and they're aware that like their clerics and priests and things are aware that they can't hear from the gods anymore, and so that communication has disappeared. So I wish I knew what happened to my power, kind of thing. Yeah, it's about the world though, so I wonder if it's like I wish I knew why the magic was gone, or I wish I knew. I wish my magic could have predicted this, because that might be an interesting thing. That kind of ties in a little bit of the regret. So we might want to go with that one. That one, okay. I wish my magic could have predicted. I haven't mentioned it on this particular stream or the recap of this, but we've been calling it the cataclysm. I wish my magic could have predicted the cataclysm and done something. That there's like that helplessness, that regretful feeling of I wish I was strong, smart, powerful enough to stop this. And done something to protect the world. All right, that brings us to our 6 wishes, which means we've completed the dusk section of our timeline. As the wishing star, you have insight into these lives. Draw randomly from the wish cards. Where are the wish cards? Oh, these 6. Okay. I was like, what? And we're going to roll at least once on each table to discover more about each hopeful soul that is making this wish. We're going to find out what led them to make this wish, what would this wish mean to them, and we're going to just make little annotations here to give us new information, for better or for worse, to decide which wish we are going to grant this evening. So for wish number 1, I wish my son would get a job offer in our hometown so that I could see him more often. I would pay for all his moving expenses if I could just see him once again. I need 2 D6s, 1 for each chart, and then we will get some more insight into this person's life. We have a 5. Would it be possible A 5 and a 3. Okay. So would it be possible to achieve this wish without you? I think yes. I'm going to separate this out just so that I can find the wishes a little bit easier. And I'm going to move this down. Come on, go down. There we go. And I'm going to, yeah. I wish my son would get a job offer in our hometown so that I could see him more often. I would pay for all his moving expenses. This sounds like something that maybe the son just doesn't want to come home. In which case, one, it feels impractical or impossible, but also, if you just talk to your son, so it might be possible to achieve this wish just through communication. But if the hometown is a place that has no opportunities, perhaps not. And keyboard got a 3. A 3 is, what unintended outcomes might this wish have? It could cause the son to feel stifled, pressured, and unhappy. Yeah. There's a little bit of an issue of agency there. So it might not be good to grant this wish. Wish number 2. I'm going to roll 1, but if someone else would like to roll 1, let's see what we get. You've got a 1. Have you heard from this specific person before? Be right back. We will be here. This specific person. I think probably. I wish I hadn't left my fiancé standing at the altar. I know I wouldn't have been a good match for them, and they are happy now, but I want them still. I think this person has wished every single night. I'm going to say maybe not every night. Every single birthday and special anniversary. They're most nostalgic on the special days. Anybody else want to roll a d6? 4. What subtext do you know is missing from the wish? That's interesting. Subtext. I think you maybe are aware I'm going 2 different directions with this, and it could be happy or could be sad. The happy one, or the one that like might make the wisher happiest, would be that the subtext you know about is that the fiance is also wishing for them. The other subtext in the opposite direction, I'm thinking, could be that they don't know, the wisher doesn't know that the fiance wouldn't have been faithful if they had gotten married. Because maybe they already weren't faithful. And so to grant that wish would be to give them more unhappiness. I think the other one tells a more interesting story, because it gives a little bit of opportunity for those people to maybe grant their own wishes rather than wishing on a star. I think it gives them more hopefulness in a way. Wish 3. I rolled a 5. Hello, O-Pigs. Welcome in. Glad to have you here. We are in the calm and cozy section of my very long stream tonight. We're playing a game called By Way of Starlight. We are playing a star, which in my world is a kind of a fallen god in a sense. And so we have somewhat godlike powers, but we're limited by the circumstances of where we are located. But people can wish upon a star, which is us. And so right now we're reviewing our wishes. If you have a d6 near you and you would like to roll a dice, let me know the number, and we will explore wish number 3, which is, I wish I didn't have to wait to see if I've been accepted to the Institute of the Cosmos. I rolled a 5, but I'm not really thrilled about that number, just because we already sort of used this one. And it's kind of, it's the question about this particular hopeful soul is, would it be possible to achieve this wish without you? And the answer is yes. Just wait. You just wait to see. But they're like, I wish I didn't have to. I mean, I don't know. Just have a little patience, buddy. Ooh, I'm at the very end of some hot cocoa, and I've got like cocoa sludge at the bottom because I didn't stir it properly, which is the best part. That's tasty. All right. Cocoa sludge, yeah. Let's see. Number 6. For how long have they needed or wanted this wish? I mean, probably like 3 months, or however long it takes for the Institute of the Cosmos to review their application and get back to them. And let's see, questions about the wish. Number 4, what subtext do you know is missing from the wish? This could be an interesting one. What subtext do you know is missing from the wish? I think something has happened at the Institute of the Cosmos that is delaying all of the applications. Welcome back, that writer woman. I don't remember exactly at what point you left, but we're on wish number 3, which is, I wish I didn't have to wait to see if I've been accepted to the Institute of the Cosmos, and we have determined that this person has been waiting for several months, or however long it takes for the Institute to review their application and get back with them. And the subtext that we know that is missing from this is that something has happened at the Institute. If I can spell institute, there we go. That is delaying all of the applications. Applications. Do we want to elaborate, or do we want to leave it vague like that? All the applications have been burned by a fire monster. Okay. I like that. Is it just the applications, or do we want to say that there was just like a whole wing of the school burned down? All the applications have been burned by a fire monster. By a fire started by, I'm gonna say an elemental monster from the plane of fire. Angie, behold this. I like those little emotes. Alright. All the applications have been burned by fire, started by an elemental monster from the plane of fire. I feel like they would have some way of trying to track down the people, but it's taking extra time. All right. Now, let's move on to wish number 4. If anybody would like to roll a d6, go for it. Have you heard from this specific person before? I wish that I knew true love for a little while. I think yes. I think that's a type of wish that someone would wish for, like, every night before they go to bed. We've got a 5 or a 2, so I'll let you choose. What does this wish make you think about? Or how many people would this wish impact? Which question do we want to answer for this one? Yes, they'd return to that wish every now and again when they feel lonely. Yeah. What does this wish make you think about? And how many people would this wish impact? I think probably only 2. If it's meant to be temporary, it could affect, could affect the person in a positive way, and then be like heartbreak type situation. But I think, what does this wish make you think about, is a very interesting thought for this particular god that we are playing. Brienne did not experience, like, romantic love. You like that question? All right, I will put that one down. What does this wish make you think about? Brienne did not experience romantic love, but they had a very close friendship with somebody, with one of the other gods, who was, all right, we're going into some god drama. Yarish is the god of the sea, and she was she was engaged to Jala, who is the god of kind of like the forge, the god of the forge, the god of volcanic activity, tectonic activity, and they were supposed to meet, but he stood her up because he was out on an adventure with Brienne, and in the course of that adventure, they kind of released something like a tangible evil into the world, not on purpose, but a little bit on purpose. And Jala is kind of the reason that Brienne became a blinded god. And so, although there has been some element of like restoration of their sight, because they have come into Astros, which has healing magic, I think that there is always that little bit of kind of a sense of betrayal. So even though this person might be talking about true love in the romantic sense, but Brienne, in a way, has not particularly experienced true love, because they were betrayed by like a very close friend. how rare and fleeting true love is, even for the gods. How true love can remain a secret. How true love can have consequences. Throwing out ideas. Yeah. Does Brienne want to? Does Brienne want to experience true love? I think so. Let me go back to my Pantheon document. Because every one of my gods has a type of love that they are the god of. Brienne is the god of barren love, love that brings no good fruit into a person's life. This could pertain to actual barrenness, but it could be something as simple as lovers who feel they are just spinning their wheels and getting nowhere with it. Barren love that is more figurative than literal is the kind of love that is a precursor to divorce. Brienne does not realize it, but this describes their feelings for Mara, who is the god who brought her here. They are engaged in fruitless pursuit, trying to please Mara, but constantly undermining her anyway. So there is kind of a somewhat distorted sort of love that Brienne feels for Mara. But in a way, it's like they're sort of deceiving themselves, I think, into thinking that they have a type of love that they do not. So it's possible that this wish that Brienne is hearing maybe is stirring something in them of like, maybe they're starting to realize that they're not experiencing the type of love that they want to be loving, that they want to be feeling. Maybe she wouldn't grant that wish out of bitterness. I'd love it if her response to the wish was just, girl, same. Yeah, I think there might be a little sense of bitterness. At least there probably was when Brienne existed in Cinder. The cataclysm, I think, might have instigated some element of change within the gods. So they don't have to be the same in Astros as they were when they were in Cinder. This is a deep question. I think it makes her question I think it makes them question what they know about love. She realizes that the love that they experience with the other gods isn't true, but they want it to be, and feels bitter that it isn't. Yeah. I think it makes them very self-reflective. I think wish number 4 is going to be like kind of in a way, a life-changing wish for this god to hear. You reflect on your past experiences with the other gods, and you wonder or start to realize that maybe you also have the same wish. Me knowing I'm changing lives with the wish I wrote. Yeah. Not just that, you're like affecting a god with this wish. You reflect on your past experiences with the other gods, and you wonder or start to realize that maybe you also have the same wish as the one you are hearing. You might witness me. You might feel a twinge of bitterness that you never got to experience that love you want. Yeah, I like that one. All right, let's keep going. We've got 2 more. Wish number 5. I wish I did not think those thoughts about my best friend and hope they never find out. Let's roll a d6. Three. Does this person believe their wish could come true? I wish I did not think those thoughts about my best friend and hope they never find out. I think they believe the second part could come true, and they will do everything they can to prevent that friend from finding out. I don't think they necessarily believe that the first part could come true, because it's about rewriting the past, in a sense. So I think they have that wish, but they don't really think it's possible to change the past. And the second question, we'll go with the 6 that I rolled. What makes this wish special? I wish I did not think those thoughts about my best friend and hope they never find out. I think this wish is special because it's just so like down to earth, if that makes any sense. It's like simple. It's very human, yeah. And that's all of our questions for that one. And wish number 6, I wanted these to stand out a little bit so that I could find them again later. So I'm going to separate these out. Wish number 6, I wish my magic could have predicted the cataclysm and done something to protect the world. Let's roll 2 more d6s for the last 2 questions. Three again and a 4. All right. So I'll give you... Nobody ever rolls a 2. All right, so let's do it that because this is the last one. I'll give you a choice of between 3 and 4 on each one, and so we'll decide out of the four, like out of these 4 questions, which 2 do we want to do. So the first choice we have: does this person believe their wish could come true? Or what larger challenge are they trying to overcome? I think the one we haven't used yet is what larger challenge are they trying to overcome? Do we want to go with that one? Because that's a pretty obvious one. Yeah, larger challenge being guilt. Yeah, like I could have done more. There's the guilt of not being able to prevent this cataclysm from happening, of being in a way helpless about it. I think also there's a helplessness in not having access to magic anymore. And now the other choice that we have is: what unintended outcomes might this wish have? Or what subtext do you know is missing from this wish? Which one do we want to answer? I think the unintended outcomes might have more to do with like what they can do now to protect the world, even without the magic. And I think that can sometimes tie into that could sort of tie into the subtext of, you know, there's a lot that they don't know about the cataclysm, so there's a lot of subtext there, but I think there's also a lot that the gods don't know about the cataclysm. They haven't figured out yet why it happened. I think unintended. So if this wish was granted, would there be time travel involved? That's sort of an unintended outcome for me as a writer. I would not like to put time travel into my world, just because it makes my mind spin. The unintended outcomes this wish might have. I think this goes hand in hand with the subtext, but we'll go with that as a question. What unintended outcomes might this wish have? I think let's taking out the time travel situation. It's a little bit of subtext because their magic might have predicted the cataclysm. But the events still would have happened. The world still would have rejected the gods. What might have changed is the preparedness for it. So I don't know if it would be an unintended outcome. They might have been able to do some small amount to protect the world, but it still would have been bad. Amarinoa. Thank you for the follow. Tell me how to pronounce your name. I tried it several different ways, but then my what came out of my mouth sounded the same to me. Amarinoa. Okay, I got it. Cool. Welcome in. Glad to have you here. We are doing, if you've just arrived, we are playing a game called By Way of Starlight. It's a little bit of like a writing / journaling game. We are playing a star. In my world, we don't really have stars exactly in the same way, but this particular star is a former god, kind of like a fallen god in a sense. We are playing as Brienne, the formerly neutral evil god of contradictions. But post-cataclysm, with the ejection of the gods from the world and the ejection of magic from the world, Brienne has had a lot of time to experience some healing magic in Astros, which is the sea of liquid magic that they find themselves in. And as a star, looking out over the world of Cinder that they used to inhabit, we, as this star, are listening to 6 different voices of the mortals making wishes. You know, the rhyme, starlight, star bright, first star I see tonight. I wish I may, I wish I might have this wish I wish tonight. We hear that every night, and we've got 6 different people who are wishing on us as a star, and we're exploring the wishes. Right now we're talking about the unintended outcomes of wish number 6, which is, I wish my magic could have predicted the cataclysm and done something to protect the world. Like if it was granted, nothing would happen, because whether the asker predicted it or not, it would have happened. Yes, but there might have been some things that they might have been able to prepare in advance. They might not have saved the whole world, but they might have been able to save 1 life or save 2 lives or something. And so there would still be an effect to granting this wish, but it would not have prevented the cataclysm. It might have predicted it, but it still would have happened. I'm hooked. Yeah. I wasn't even sure if I was going to do this game tonight. I've been playing games for, how long have I been streaming so far? What's my stream time? 9, almost 10 hours. Are we going to have ads? Let's see. Just in case, because we're switching music. Just in case there's an ad, I'm muting for a second. Did the cataclysm cause a lot of damage to the world? Okay. I will answer all of these questions in order. Nearly 10 hours, holy moly. Yeah. We played... I took notes on everything, and we're at 12 pages on my Google Doc. We started with a game called Cat Wants Lap, and it's a game about a cat who wants to try and get into the lap of their human. We moved to a game called Advanced Darning and Dragons, which is about a knitting society that gossips with each other. And then we moved on to Prehistoric Keeper, which is basically kind of like a Jurassic Park type of environment, where we have to take care of the prehistoric dinosaur-esque creatures that exist in the world. And then we moved on to, that was a long one. We moved on to the Starlight game, By Way of Starlight. I almost didn't play this game because I wanted to save it for a different fundraiser, but I was feeling very cozy, and so I decided this seems like a cozy game, so let's just jump into it. All right, let me try and answer the questions. Was this world or society dependent on magic? So this world had magic in it. Some of the cultures of the world were pretty dependent on magic. In particular, the sea elves. Their entire society, because they are mammals, but they live under the sea, their entire society was built around magical fail-safes to make sure that they have air to breathe underwater. And so with the loss of magic, their society was almost entirely wiped out. They weren't necessarily all killed. There was a little bit of hints ahead of time that the cataclysm might be coming, because it was like several days of wild magic in a sense, where things, they would cast a spell and things would go wrong and the magic was starting to falter and not work properly. And so they had some tiny hint of warning that this was going to happen. So some of the sea elves were able to make it to safety before everything fell apart. But there were a lot of parts of this world that were dependent on magic. There were a few parts that completely shunned magic, so not everybody was affected. But yeah, it's called a cataclysm because it did have a huge effect on the world. I don't know if it was necessarily damage, but it definitely, there's probably psychological damage in a lot of places. With the enormity of the implications of what has happened, there's a lot of effect probably. I'll have to go back and watch the VOD for the Knitting Society. That sounds so fun. Yeah, the Knitting Society is more of a writing game, even more so than this one. This one is giving us little prompts and things to write. The Knitting Society one is a tarot deck card. Basically, you draw from the tarot deck, and it gives you prompts based on what cards you draw. And it's basically, you're creating gossip about the other knitters in your society, and then you go home and you write stories about those things that you gossiped about. So it was a little bit of like giving you writing prompts in order to like further your story. So it wasn't exactly a game in the sense that I'm used to playing games, but it was entertaining. I really enjoyed it. I think there are a few things I would probably do differently about it. And let's see, the other question, are these from Tiny Table? I believe I saved the tab. Let me find it. I'll put the website in the chat. This is from another streamer. Their spouse made this website, just kind of cataloging all of the solo and duet RPGs. So I will put this in here, and I got it off of their website, but most of the games that you find are links to the itch.io website, where you can just download. Some of them are pay, they have a small cost, like a couple bucks, but a lot of them are free. So you could go through, and I believe you can also search for ones that are free. So I found them all on that website, but then most of them are like linked to a different site. So that's where I found all of these. What were we? We were on wish number 6. The unintended outcomes that this wish might have. I think I wish my magic could have predicted the cataclysm and done something to protect the world. I think the unintended outcome of that might have been that if you had found a way to stockpile the magic or store it in a battery type of a sense, you might have been able to protect some parts of the world using that like stockpile of magic, but it might have made your town or your country or yourself a target for those people who are searching for any source of magic. When something is in high demand and there's little supply of it, for some people there might be no length that is too far for them. So if there had been a stockpile, or if they had been able to prepare themselves in some way for the cataclysm, it might have gone badly. I think that is possibly the unintended outcome of this, what this wish might mean. Store the magic. Like I'm imagining a fuel can. So any kind of a magical object, like an enchanted object could... Oh no, CG, what happened? Did the stream stop? Am I still going? Oh, I could get very into this. Okay. I thought for a second I disappeared in my poor schedule. Oh, you mean the website? Yeah, I spent a lot of time on that website. What was I saying? Stockpile. Yes. So any I'm not sure how familiar. I'm looking at the one where you escape from Dracula. I think there's several of those. What was I saying? I'm not sure how familiar you are with, like, let's say D&D, because it's the most commonly like talked about TTRPG. But in there you could have different enchanted items. All of that is like those items act sort of as a battery, that, you know, the magic can be depleted and then recharged at certain times of the day or the yearly cycle or whatever. Those things act as batteries. So when the magic disappeared from the world, anything that was stored disconnected in a battery-like format. I've been playing TTRPGs for 7 or so years. Okay, so you're sort of familiar. I'm familiar, but I find the character stats and the math puts me off for some reason. There are a lot of RPGs that you can play that are not as math heavy. D&D, I can understand, is very, like, there's a lot of rolling and adding numbers and things. But there are easier ones if you're not really into math and stats and things. I think I'd like to play, but I need tighter rules from a DM. That's a cool concept. I assumed the magic would disappear. Yeah, so any magic that is granted, so let's say like a cleric or a warlock, even like a wizard who has to learn their magic through schooling, those are things that have been acquired. That's not inherent in them. That magic is all gone. The sorcerers because their magic is inherent and genetic, they are in a sense like biological batteries, in a way, because their magic has come from kind of another source. The magic of the gods have pets that are called titans. They're magical animals that have come with them from the land of the gods. Those titans still have some access to magic because they are inherently magical beings, that they don't receive their magic from the gods. They're not very powerful. They're powerful in the sense of their size, but they're not very powerful in the sense of magic, which is what makes them sort of like the pets of the gods rather than actual like deities themselves. So I'm trying to think of an example. I think the god of the sea, her titan pet is like a kraken. That is somewhat of a magical animal, but it doesn't necessarily utilize the magic because it's still just kind of an animal. It has the intelligence of like a toddler, or the like understanding of the world of a toddler. Why was I going into that? Oh, because we asked about the batteries. So there are some animals that still have some element of magic. It's just that it's not necessarily accessible. I assume the magic would disappear. Yeah, a lot of the magic did disappear, but I still wanted to be able to have a setting that people could still play magical characters, if it came to like a role-playing game. So I didn't want magic to be completely gone. I just wanted it to be like very limited. And if you want more access to magic, you just play in a different part of this world's timeline, because at this point in the world, the magic is extremely limited. But you could play in the past, you could play further into the future, which I haven't fully developed yet, but there is a point at which the magic comes back. It's just a long time in the future. So let's see. Let's finish answering this question. What unintended outcomes might this wish have? If the wishmaker had been able to predict the cataclysm, they still could not stop it. They might have been able to stockpile or store the magic, but that might have gone badly. Because it would make them a target for so the unintended outcome of their wish could be that their own country or their own family or town or even their own person might have become a target and been very dangerous for them. I'm going to play this Dracula campaign sometime. What is the name of it? I'm curious. All right. Let's continue, because we are almost through to the end of the night of this evening that this star is experiencing these wishes from the mortals. Escape from Castle Dracula. I'll have to look that one up. It sounds good. Each night, as the sun begins to rise, you may summon the power of your starlight to grant one hopeful soul's wish. Take a moment to look through all of the wishes and make a decision. Once you have chosen, describe how the wish will come true. And use at least one of the following prompts. which of these prompts to use, like which wish to grant, are your choice. So this is where we do not have to roll for it. We can just look through all of our options and make the best choice for each. So I'll go over the wishes again. I can't put it into the chat as a poll because there are 6 options and Twitch only allows 5. But we could kind of talk about which one to eliminate and then do a poll if we want. So wish number 1 is, I wish my son would get a job offer in our hometown so that I could see him more often. I would pay for all his moving expenses if I could just see him once again. Wish number 2 is, I wish I hadn't left my fiancé standing at the altar. I know I wouldn't have been a good match for them, and they are happy now, but I want them still. I will remind you, I'll remind you about each of the wishes. So the first one about the son getting the job offer, it might not make the son happy. It might make the wisher happy, but it does involve another person, which might remove that person's agency. So that's something to consider about wish number 1. Wish number 2, I wish I hadn't left my fiancé standing at the altar. The thing that we know about this wish that the wisher does not know is that the fiancé is also wishing for them. They can grant their own wishes if they would just talk to each other. Wish number 3 is, I wish I didn't have to wait to see if I've been accepted to the Institute of the Cosmos. The thing that this wisher doesn't know is that there's just been a delay. They do have a way to track down all of the applicants, but they're dealing with a fire monster, and they have lost temporarily the applications, but they are going to track down the applicants and get them to apply again. And so the wisher just needs to have some patience. Wish number 4, I wish that I knew true love for a little while. This is the wish that has made Brienne, our star god, reflect about their own life and their own past experiences. So this is a very personal wish to this god. So this one might be in the top running for people. I'm not sure, but we'll see. Wish number 5 is, I wish I did not think those thoughts about my best friend and hope they never find out. This wish is simple because it is very relatable. It is something that probably almost everyone experiences. And it's the kind of wish that it feels like everyone might wish at some point in their life. And then wish number 6 is, I wish my magic could have predicted the cataclysm and done something to protect the world. What this person doesn't know is that their wish would not have stopped the cataclysm. It just might have done a few things to change the outcome. And those things might not have been for the best. They still might have been able to save a few lives, but not necessarily. All right. I think I'd like to, it depends on their response. They could grant it in a nice, I wish it could be me, but at least it can be someone way. Or they would refuse to grant it in a, if I can't have it, no one can way. Or they could refuse to consider it because it hits too close to home. I could see that going anyway. Yeah. So here are the list of questions that we need to answer. We choose one of these questions. We don't have to answer all of them. When a wish is granted for a hopeful soul, what is the perfect timing for this wish to come true? When and how do they realize the wish has come true? What surprises them about the wish's effects? What burden or worry does this wish relieve? What kind of changes does this make to their life? And do you ever hear from them again? So we just choose one of those questions. We don't have to answer all of them. But it's about kind of the end effect of what we want this, the direction that we want this to go. So I think I'd like to remove wish number 3. I wish I didn't have to wait to see if I've been accepted to the Institute of the Cosmos. Because it's just a timing thing. All they have to do is wait. And it's uncomfortable. They wish they didn't have to wait. But eventually, that wait is going to be over. So this is a wish that will resolve itself, given enough time. So I will put the other 5 wishes into a poll, and we can decide from there. The wisher would never wish for true love again, even if they lost the person. I think they'd be content with their little moment. Yeah, I think so. How do I do polls? /poll, I think it is. Ooh, here we go. While I'm doing the poll, I can't see chat at all. Which wish to grant? Remove that one. Wish for temporary true love. Wish away the bad thoughts, and wish to predict the cataclysm. All right, we will give it a 2-minute poll starting now. And in the meantime, I will try to answer anything that happened in the chat because I couldn't see it. Response to wish 3, be patient, you silly goose. Yeah, chat is ours. I don't know where you get the dancing pickle, but I love it. What is this one? Kevin Dance. All right. Can I vote on my own poll or no? Does Twitch allow that? Oh, I can. I'm not gonna though. I feel like I should be neutral in this. If there's anybody who's not listening, I'll just put a note here. Vote in the poll, everybody. I think we're about to lose our music. It sounds like we're moving on to the next thing. Oh no, we're still going. It just got very quiet for a second. I love all of your dancing emotes. Is that a dancing blueberry? I love it. That's cool. We're almost to the end of the poll. Poll ended. Wish for true love is a tie between wish for true love and wish away the bad thoughts. All right. I I feel like if I do this again, it's still going to be a 50-50 split. So I think I'm going to roll for it. I'm going to roll a d20. If we get odds, we're going to wish away the bad thoughts. And if we get evens, we're going to wish for the true love, even if it's temporary. So we got a nat 20 on that. So what did I say? Evens? That's the true love one. Pretty cool, because that's probably the last roll of the night. We ended with a d20, with a nat 20, so awesome. So yeah, let's go back down here. Come on, there we go. The computer has to catch up to me. As the sky begins to lighten, I have to share this story. It's a little bit of a detour. When we were playing the first game, the what's it called? The Cat Wants Lap is the name of the game. We're playing a cat that wants to sit on people's laps. Crow, who is the household cat, he belongs to my housemate. He was in the room. He was all over me. He was demanding lap time. And he knocked the d20 off the desk. And he got a nat 20. So we started with a nat 20 at the beginning of the night. We're ending with a nat 20. And I think that's a beautiful bookend. Unfortunately, he did make us lose the game, because that nat 20 was not what we wanted at the time. But I think it's appropriate that we've started and ended our stream with a nat 20. So let's continue. Of course he did. What a player. Yep. As the sky begins to lighten, as the sky over Cinder begins to lighten, you make a decision regarding this wish, or regarding all of the wishes. What was it? 4? Number 4? No. Yes, I wish that I knew true love for a little while. The one that speaks most to your heart is wish 4. I wish that I knew true love for a little while. You reflect on the yearning you have always felt. To seek out a love of your own. And you hope that even if it is temporary, I'll get there. The wisher is satisfied with the results of their wish. All right, let's answer our last question. Which one do we want to answer? Our questions are: what is the perfect timing for this wish to come true? When and how do they realize the wish has come true? What surprises them about the wish's effects? What burden or worry does this wish relieve? What kind of changes does this make to their life? And do you ever hear from them again? Which of those questions do we want to answer? Go through them again. What is the perfect timing for this wish to come true? When and how do they realize the wish has come true? What surprises them about the wish's effects? What burden or worry does this wish relieve? What kind of changes does this make to their life? Do you ever hear from them again? Darn good questions, yeah. As you summon the magic of the starlight from the Sea of Astros, you are able to grant a single wish tonight. You feel the power flow through you and into Cinder, a special moment as you remember the times that you used to summon this magic easily and without thought. Today, it takes effort, and you can only do it once in this evening. If you want, I could just roll for it. I know that the instructions are to choose one, but I think to speed things up a little, we may as well roll it, since they're all very good. Alright, we've got a 3. What surprises the wisher about the wish's effects? As you look down, and you can see in the distance what are they called? Hopeful souls. As you look down, and you can see in the distance, this hopeful soul can feel the magic enter their home. They are aware that their wish has been granted. What surprises them about the effects that are happening this evening? Let's go over what they wanted. I wish that I knew true love for a while. This wish feels desiring or yearning. The wish is about a life event or turning point. The wish would only be temporary. Have you heard from this specific person before? This person has made the same soft wish every night before falling asleep. What does this wish make you think about? And you reflect on your past experiences with the other gods, and you wonder or start to realize that maybe you also have the same wish as the one that you are hearing. You might feel a twinge of bitterness that you never got to experience that love you want. I think maybe what surprises this person is a small twinge of emptiness, that they no longer have to make this wish every night. They're fulfilled by the fact that they have found love, even if it's temporary. but they never have to ask this wish again. And that leaves them with a surprising small little piece of emptiness because it is a disruption to their routine. It stops their little nightly ritual and one-sided conversation. Yeah. I think also you feel that loss too. Because although from their perspective, it was a one-sided conversation, you were hearing that wish every night. Don't make me cry. I think that's a good place to leave it. How do we feel? Do we want to add anything? It feels perfect. Yeah, I'm pretty satisfied with it. I would love to play this again with the perspective of other gods in my world. So this might show up on my stream at another time as well. Let's see. I think this is a good way to end the stream. How long have I been streaming for? Almost 10.5 hours. If you're lurking, if you didn't hear me on the few other times that I have mentioned it this stream, I have been Meg, Creative Garden, CG. How are you still alive? This is the longest stream I've ever done, and it's fascinating to me that I've been able to make it this far. I did take a small break for lunch, and I'm going to need to get off and get myself some dinner now. But yeah, I'm Meg, Creative Garden, CG. I'm an actor, writer, storyteller. I do massage therapy. I usually do reading streams on Twitch on Monday nights, and I usually do writing streams on Twitch on Thursdays. Today is a special gaming stream. Here's my normal stream schedule. The reading stream is just that. It's like a book club. I read a little bit. We talk about it like a book club would. And the world building / co-working stream is just kind of a productivity stream. I write in my world. Tonight's stream has given me so much insight into how thoroughly I understand my world because of this world building stream that I do on Thursdays. I don't think I would have been able to do this kind of a stream if I hadn't gone through all of that groundwork of getting to know and understand my world. So it's kind of cool that now I feel like I'm at a place where I can play games in this world because I do know the world enough to kind of improvise things. And, I know the world thoroughly enough that when there's a question about a thing, I know what the answer would be, even if I haven't previously figured out what that answer is. So why am I doing this special stream tonight? I am running a... Come on, Nightbot, you can do it. Did I type it wrong? I don't know. Nightbot just decided not to give me the prompt. I thought that was the prompt, but maybe not. This is a fundraising stream for... So there we go. Thank you. I don't know what happened. For the month of October, I'm running a Tiltify campaign. You can see the progress bar below me. It just changed its allegiance to me, apparently. Yeah. October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. I am doing a fundraiser for the National Breast Cancer Foundation. One of the types of campaigns that they run is called the Game Pink campaign. It's for gamers on Twitch to raise money using their gaming streams. This is my first ever gaming stream, so I went with a lot of writing types of games, prompts and things that would involve some journaling, just because it's what is familiar to me. I think in the future I may try some additional types of games if I do this again, but for today, because it's the first one, I'm still figuring things out. I decided to go with my own kind of game, and they're games that I have not seen people play on Twitch before, so I like the uniqueness of it. And so that's what we're doing for the month of October. Every stream that I do will have the donation link in the Nightbot commands, and at the end of October we will stop the campaign. But I'm enjoying this, so I may set up future fundraisers for other things. We'll just have to see. The reason that I'm doing this, I wanted to kind of share a little bit of my own story as well, which some of you probably have already heard me talk about it on stream before. But I am at the end of the summer, doctors were pretty sure that I had breast cancer, but it turned out that I did not. It is something that just mimics cancer. It looks very scary on a mammogram, and so the doctors were freaking out about it, but it turned out not to be cancer. And in gratitude to the universe for having such a positive outcome in my life, I decided I want to give back, because I know that there are other people out there who were not able to get such good news. So happy you didn't. Yeah. So many people have reached out to me, and it's kind of been interesting to see just how much support. It's one of those things you don't realize how much support until you need it and people give it to you, and you're like, oh wow, I thought I was going to have to go through this by myself, but here everybody is showing up for me. So it's been a really wonderful thing. Sad that I had to experience it, but to see everybody kind of show up for me has been really cool. And you're a true altruist. You heard your good news, celebrated it, and immediately thought about the others who didn't get good news. Yeah. That was one of the things that really kind of hit me. I was like, it was a little bit, I don't want to say silly. There's a little bit of a silliness to it. I was doing things that involved luck and hoping that I would, like entering into giveaways on Twitch and things like that. And I was sort of hoping every time I entered and didn't win that I was just like stocking up my luck for the small 4% chance that what I had was not breast cancer, because that was what they said, was that there's a 96% chance this is breast cancer. There's a 4% chance that it's benign. And I turned out to be in that 4%. And so I felt like I was just one of those people. I just felt like I was doing things hoping that I would save my luck for later, for when I needed it after when the samples went to the biopsy lab. I was just hoping that I could stock up that luck for it. And I felt like I did. And I knew that other people are not so lucky. I knew that other people have 96% is terrifying. Yeah. I knew that other people have a long, hard journey ahead of them when they get this kind of news. And having the news come to me. So this was in August, it was discovered. By September, I had the biopsy done. So it was about 3 weeks of thinking that it was cancer. And then when the biopsy came back as benign, they were like, these things are conflicting. The biopsy says benign. The mammogram still looks very concerning. So they decided to take it out. So in October, it was the lump was removed, and it was at the beginning of October, and they got the results not immediately, but they got the results much faster than expected. And they said, oh, it's not cancer. Like they've figured it out. They diagnosed it. And so it was just at the beginning of October when I started hearing on the radio all of these things about Breast Cancer Awareness Month. And I was like, oh, the timing of this is perfect, because I got my news at the very beginning of October, and I was like, let's do it. Let's set this up. Let's have a fundraiser. Let's talk about this, because it's not just that I got good news. It's also that I got to learn things about breast cancer that I probably would not have researched otherwise. And that's part of the thing about Breast Cancer Awareness Month. It's not just to make people aware of people going through a tough time in their life. It's to make people aware of screening procedures. One of the best ways to avoid a very negative outcome with breast cancer is to detect it early. And so the push for Breast Cancer Awareness Month is to raise awareness about early screening. Just make sure that you're always screening yourself. If you're not sure what that means, ask your doctor. Mostly it has to do with self-exams, checking yourself. If you detect a lump, tell somebody in the medical profession about it, and get mammograms. Those are important things. So that is a little bit of my soapbox now, because I had very good reason to kind of go down into like a hyper focus about this, because it was a thing that probably was going to, it's a thing that now is going to be present in my mind for the rest of my life, even if even if time goes by and it becomes a little bit of a mundane topic, it's still going to be an important topic for me, I believe. I examine myself every month on the second day of my period. I told some friends this, and none of them check. It really surprised me. Yeah. It's important, but the thing is, mine was not palpable. I wasn't able to find it. It only showed up on the mammogram. So whenever you're old enough, whenever the doctor says like, hey, it's time, this is when we recommend people start getting mammograms, just do it. Just give yourself peace of mind, get it done. And that leads us into one of the things about the National Breast Cancer Foundation, is because some people don't have health care. They don't have access to those early screening procedures. And the National Breast Cancer Foundation helps provide early screening for people who are not in a place where they can access that screening. So that's one of the great things about this foundation. They also provide care for people who are post-surgery, post-recovery, people who are going through treatment. They provide, I think I'm confusing them with a foundation that I heard about on the radio. One of these foundations provides like housing if there's somebody who needs to like live closer to their treatment center. They'll provide housing for it. I think that might be the one that I heard about on the radio, not this one. But it wouldn't surprise me at all if the National Breast Cancer Foundation also provides something along those lines. I think that would qualify as like support for someone who's receiving treatment. So that's been a long chat. I'm gonna snooze this ad that's coming up. Should I snooze this ad? Yes, I'm gonna snooze the ad because we're almost done. I am just winding down. I think I'm done talking about breast cancer. If you've been here, if you're interested in talking to me more about breast cancer awareness or anything else, if you want information about my stream schedule or things, if you want to stay up to date, if I have to make any changes to the stream schedule, you can find that all on the Discord. Feel free to join. It's a nice cozy little Discord. There's not a whole lot of chat, which is nice. Sometimes people just want to be left alone and just have a community that they can reach out to when they need it, but not necessarily be constantly social. So I feel like there's a positive in the Discord right now, but I wouldn't mind people being more chatty as well. That's fine too. Let's see. I gave the stream schedule. I gave the Discord, and the last thing is the socials. If you're interested in other things that I do online, I am at Creative Garden on all of the spaces. In particular, YouTube is where my Twitch archives are ending up, so you can check out more that I do on YouTube. I've been streaming for almost 11 hours. Don't tell me that. I could chat at the Olympics. I've been streaming long enough that I think my brain is starting to forget how to talk. So I'm going to put us over onto an ending soon screen. I'm going to find somebody for us to raid. We've had 3 raids today, so some of you, if you're still here from the previous raids, you might be part of a raid train. We're going to find somebody else to raid, and hopefully it'll be someone who is telling a good story, creating a good story, reading a good story. We're going to try and find some story because we've had some good stories. I'm going to put us over on an ending soon screen, and we'll find somebody to raid. If you're lurking, thank you for the lurk. If you've been here chatting and gaming with me, I appreciate it. I appreciate everybody who has donated. Thank you for your donations. And if you're watching on the VOD, thank you for being here after the fact. I appreciate you as well. Have a good night. Thank you very much for the stream and for raising money for a great cause. I appreciate it. I think you were one of the first people that donated, so I appreciate you kicking us off like that. And I'll see everybody next time. Have a good one.